Alright, so we're going to review the differences between the sugar plantations in southern British North America colonies and the Caribbean and Brazil. So slavery in the North America was different. They were being less harsh than in the sugar colonies. So I guess the treatment or the conditions weren't as harsh. Okay, that's certainly true. What about this one right here? The plantation societies of Brazil in the Caribbean in the southern colonies in British North America differed due to the fact that even though both used slaves to help produce sugar, Brazil and the Caribbean did not hold as much racism towards blacks, counting some light skin who achieved wealth as white. Okay, so there's some mobility in Brazil, in the Caribbean, that's just not there in British North America. And why is that? Maybe we'll come back to that if we don't read a response to that one right there. Plantation societies were more labor-intensive and cruel in Brazil and the Caribbean than British North America. Slaves in Brazil and the Caribbean were brought over and the families were separated, while British North America slaves reproduced amongst themselves, and most were born in the New World. Okay, most were born in the New World by a certain date. All right, like for example, by the Civil War, for sure. All slaves in the South were born in America. They were black Americans for sure. Here we go. Slaves could repopulate North America, while in Brazil and the Caribbean, slaves were continuously imported from Africa. There we go. There was more racial prejudice and less opportunities for slaves in southern colonies in British North America. So there's this white supremacy issue in North America. Here, let's look at this one. So in Brazil, women made up half of the slaves that did heavy work of planting and harvesting sugar. I don't know how that relates or differs to the southern colonies of British North America. So we need to add a little bit more to that one, right? Let's do one more. This one seems like a bulleted list. In North America, there was less racial mixing and less willingness to I don't know, what does that say? Something of recognize such offspring? Okay, so if there is mixing, they're not recognizing that offspring necessarily. So slaves in the U.S. became self-reproducing. All right, so they're reproducing among their own people, their own social hierarchy. Slavery in the North America was different. So how so? Okay, so you told us how so, but what was it like in the Caribbean and Brazil? And some of these other responses kind of go with that and help us kind of paint a bigger picture. I can't help it. I got to do one more. They differed in that in Brazil, hey, this one answers the other one. In the Caribbean, slaves had more opportunities and could be set free, but in North America, slaves were slaves forever. In most cases, for sure. And definitely slaves were set free voluntarily by plantation owners in Brazil. So that's a nice little response to this other one over here that kind of just leaves us hanging at the end. All right, so this kind of proves that sometimes the smartest one in the room is the room.